Born into a world where my last name opens more doors than I care to walk through, you could say my path was laid out for me. My dad's the big boss of a company you've probably seen tick across the stock exchange more times than you've cursed your alarm clock. Yes, that kind of rich. But if you're expecting tales of a golden girl draped in designer clothes and sipping champagne for breakfast, you've got the wrong story. I've always kept it real, feet firmly on the ground. Money is nice, sure, but it's not everything. I chose a different path, one that's led me to places money can't buy and experiences no gold card can fetch. Charity work, helping those in need, and living a life that's, well, ordinary. That's me, Jessica, not the heiress, just Jessica. One of those typical evenings found me and my friend Sarah at a downtown dive, the kind where the beer's cheap and the lights are dim enough to hide your regrets. Sarah was hyped up about some guy she met online. You've got to meet him, Jess. He's totally your type, she insisted. My type? Since when did she decide she knew my type? We were there when in walked Alex. Definitely not Sarah's online prince, but another dude. He was there with friends, looking out of place like a cat at a dog show. He wasn't dressed to impress, just a simple tee and jeans, but his easy smile lit up the room. We started talking, and it was refreshingly easy. He worked as a manager at a place I'd never heard of, but he spoke about it with a passion that was kind of infectious. You really dig your job, huh? I asked, sipping on my third beer. Absolutely, Alex said, leaning in. Every day's a challenge, but hey, I'm not here to bore you with work talk. What about you? Sarah mentioned charity work. I shrugged, trying to downplay it. Yeah, a bit of this and that, just trying to do my bit, you know? That's cool. Really cool, he said, genuinely not trying to impress me but meaning it. The night rolled on, and Alex and I stuck together, chatting about everything and nothing. It was refreshing to talk to someone who wasn't trying to sell me on an investment or brag about their latest acquisition. As the night wound down, Alex got this look like he was working up to something. Hey, Jessica, I know this is kind of forward, but would you want to grab dinner with me sometime? Just us, he asked. I felt a mix of surprise and excitement. Sure, I said, trying to sound cool. I'd like that. On the way home, Sarah was all giggles. I told you so. I just smiled, thinking about the evening. Alex was a breath of fresh air in my often too stale world. Little did I know how much things were about to change. Soon, going out turned into hanging out at each other's places. Mostly my cozy apartment because Alex's roommates were a circus and a half. One evening, sprawled on the couch after devouring what might have been the world's most average taco pizza, Alex turned to me, his eyes serious but his tone light. Jessica, how do you feel about making this a more permanent arrangement? He asked, crumbs still clinging to the corner of his mouth. I raised an eyebrow. You proposing we split a Netflix account or something more along the lines of eh? He chuckled, brushing off the crumbs. Well, I was thinking more like a life together. But hey, we can start with Netflix. The simplicity of it, the straightforwardness, no grand gestures or dramatic backdrops, just us in our element. It felt right. Alex, if you're asking what I think you're asking, yes, 1,000 times yes. And just like that, with the aroma of cheap pizza as our witness, we decided to tie the knot. It was swift, sure, but when you know, you know. Telling our families was the next hurdle. My folks, always about the as long as you're happy mantra, were put to the test. Dad, with his business empire, and Mom, the socialite, had visions of me settling down with someone more in our circle. I broke the news over dinner, the fancy kind where you're not sure which fork to use for the salad. Mom, Dad, I'm getting married to Alex, I said, the words tumbling out in a rush. Dad paused, fork midair. Alex, the manager chap? Well, that's quick. Mom smiled a bit too tightly. Dear, are you sure? This is rather sudden, isn't it? But I was firm. Yes, I'm sure. He's amazing, and we're really happy together. Their skepticism was palpable, but so was their love. Well, if he makes you happy, darling, Mom conceded, and Dad nodded in agreement. Alex's folks were a whole different ballgame. We went over to their place, a cozy little house that always seemed to smell like fresh cookies or something equally comforting. Judy and Martin welcomed me like I'd always been a part of the family. Alex tells us you're setting a date, Martin said, passing me a plate of those infamous cookies. Yes, we're thinking sooner rather than later. Small ceremony, nothing fancy. I replied, trying to gauge their reaction. Judy beamed at me and said, Oh, sweetheart, that's wonderful. We're just thrilled for you both." Their warmth was enveloping, a stark contrast to the cautious optimism of my own parents. It was clear from the start that our worlds were different, but the common ground was the genuine happiness they felt for me and Alex. When it came to planning the wedding, we were on the same page. Keep it simple, keep it us. A small ceremony with close friends and family, and an open bar because, as Alex put it, if we're doing this, we're making sure everyone's having a good time. That's how it went down. A swift engagement, not out of haste, but because everything just clicked into place. Amid the whirlwind, there were quiet moments between us that said, we're doing the right thing. And we really were. Living with Alex started off as everything I'd hoped for and more. We were like two peas in a pod, carving out our little corner of the world in that cozy modern apartment I had rented. It was ours, filled with love, laughter, and a ton of takeout containers because, let's face it, neither of us was winning any awards in the kitchen. It wasn't long before I began to notice how Alex's parents, Judy and Martin, had a way of dropping hints about things they liked or needed whenever they visited. At first, it was subtle, almost charming. "Oh, Jessica, that's a lovely coffee maker. It must make mornings a breeze," Judy would say, eyeing our shiny new appliance with a gleam in her eye. Or Martin would remark, "This sofa is just divine. Our old one's been giving me a right pain in the back." Wanting to be the good daughter-in-law, I'd surprise them with gifts: a coffee maker for Judy, a comfortable new sofa for their living room, and so on. Their initial reactions were always the same, a mix of surprise and a touch of guilt. "Oh, Jessica, you shouldn't have. This is too much," Judy would exclaim, her hands fluttering to her chest. But as humans often do, they quickly adapted. Those initial protests faded, replaced by increasingly blatant hints, like a brick through a window. "Dinner at your folks' place was lovely, dear. Did you see that new TV they have? Crystal clear. Ours is practically ancient," Alex would relay, oblivious to the shift in tone. One evening, after I had splurged on a not-so-small fortune for a fancy new TV for them, Alex and I were curled up on the couch, my head resting in his lap. "They really love the TV, babe. You're amazing, you know that," he said, his fingers running through my hair. I sighed, feeling the weight of their expectations starting to press down on me. "Alex, do they expect us to keep doing this? It's getting a bit much, don't you think?" He paused, his hand halting mid-stroke. "What do you mean? They're just happy, that's all." "Happy or taking advantage?" I pushed back, sitting up to look at him. "It feels like we're their personal shopping service." Alex looked taken aback, his brow furrowing. "They're not like that, Jess. They're just not used to nice things, that's all." "But where does it end, Alex?" I argued, frustration creeping into my voice. "It's like they've got a taste for it now, and they're not looking back." The conversation ended with an uneasy truce, but it was clear we were on different pages. Judy and Martin's gratitude had turned into entitlement, and it was straining our relationship. Straining me. I loved Alex, but I wasn't about to become a bottomless ATM for his parents. When my dad's company hit the skids, it felt like the rug was yanked out from under my feet. That cushy life, poof, gone. And with it, the whole dynamic of our relationship took a nosedive. The shift wasn't gradual. It was like flipping a switch from daylight to darkness. I had to break the news to Alex and his folks, and let me tell you, it was a conversation I'd been dreading. "Listen up, things are going to get tight. Dad's company's tanking, and well, we're in for a rough ride," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, but the tremor in it betrayed my nerves. Alex's reaction was a gut punch. "You're kidding me, right? What do you mean things are going to get tight? You're telling me we can't live like we used to because of your dad's mess?" His words were like ice, and for a moment, everything felt frozen in place. I wished the floor would swallow me whole. Judy and Martin's faces were no better, disappointment barely masked. "This is quite the situation you've put us in, Jessica," Martin said, his tone dripping with reproach. Just like that, the warmth and camaraderie we once shared evaporated, replaced by a cold expectation that I was somehow to blame for my family's financial downturn. Moving in with them was dressed up as a temporary solution, but our once independent life was swapped for a guest room that felt more like a cell in a house where we were clearly seen as a nuisance. The atmosphere was charged with tension, each day a reminder of how I'd somehow failed them. "We're cutting back on everything because of this," Judy would remind me sharply as she served dinner, which was a far cry from the lavish meals we used to enjoy. Martin was always quick with a comment on saving costs. Make sure those lights are off. We're not running the charity here, he'd say. But Alex was the hardest to bear. The man I had married seemed to have vanished, replaced by someone who saw me as a letdown. Can't you do something? Talk to your dad. It's like you don't even care that we're living like this, he'd snap, anger flaring over the smallest things. Our conversations, once easy and filled with future plans, had become minefields. Every word I said felt like a potential trigger for another outburst. I thought marrying you meant security, not this. This struggle, he'd throw at me during arguments, his words slicing through me. It was clear we weren't just dealing with financial stress. This was a test of our relationship, a revelation of true colors under pressure. I was stuck in the middle, battling disillusionment from my husband and his parents while grappling with my own sense of failure. Judy's birthday dinner was supposed to be a cozy family affair at an upscale restaurant, a break from the constant tension. Instead, it turned into the showdown of a lifetime. I should have seen it coming, given how things had been going at their place. We were all seated, menus in hand, and I was doing my best to keep the peace and blend into the background. That plan was obliterated the moment the orders started flying. Alex, with a grin that made my skin crawl, said, "Let's get the steak and lobster for us," shooting me a look that was equal parts smug and cruel. Jessica can stick with the soup of the day. Got to save where we can, right? The table erupted in laughter like he'd just delivered the best joke they'd ever heard. Judy chimed in, "Absolutely can't have Jessica overspending now, can we?" I felt a surge of heat, pure fury, not embarrassment. Really? Soup? Is this some kind of sick joke? My voice was sharper than I'd intended. "Oh, come on, Jessica, it's just a bit of fun," Alex said, his smirk still firmly in place. That was when I lost it. Fun. This is your idea of fun. When the chips are down, you just show how petty you really are. I can't believe I fell for your act. The entire restaurant went silent, all eyes on us. I didn't sit back down. Keep your fancy dishes and pathetic jokes. I'm out. I stood up so abruptly that my chair nearly toppled over, the noise echoing and drawing more attention. Alex reached out, trying to play peacemaker. "Jessica, don't. Let's not make this a scene." "A scene? You think I care about making a scene after that stunt? This is about respect, something you clearly have none of." I yanked my arm free and headed for the exit, the weight of their stares heavy on my back. Stepping out into the night felt like breaking out of prison. My phone was blowing up. Alex, no doubt, trying to do damage control. I ignored the buzzing of my phone, my mind made up. I drove back to their place, a storm of emotions brewing inside me. How had things soared so quickly? Alex and I had been a team, or so I thought. That dinner had been a slap in the face, a wake-up call I couldn't ignore. Back at the house, I packed my bags with a speed fueled by frustration. Each folded shirt felt like a reminder of the life I was leaving behind. It wasn't just about leaving a place, it was about walking away from a relationship that had shown its true colors. I turned off my phone, cutting off the barrage of messages. The silence that followed was eerie, but welcome. That night wasn't just the end of a disastrous dinner. It marked the closing of a chapter I had no interest in revisiting. After the chaos of Judy's birthday dinner, I found myself driving to my parents' house. The night was quiet, a stark contrast to the storm raging inside me. By the time I pulled into their driveway, my decision was clear. I needed sanctuary, but more than that, I needed advice, something only my dad could offer. Walking into the house, the familiar surroundings were both comforting and jarring. Mom was asleep, but Dad was in his study, surrounded by papers that seemed less important the moment I walked in. "Jessica, what are you doing here at this hour? Is everything okay?" he asked, standing up with a look of concern. I took a deep breath and let the events of the evening pour out in a flood. I told him about the dinner, about Alex and his parents, and how I felt reduced to nothing more than a source of income for them. Dad listened in silence, his expression hardening with every word. When I finished, he sighed, a sound heavy with years of experience and a hint of sorrow. "Jessica, I saw this coming. I just hoped I was wrong," he said, his voice steady but filled with empathy. "How could I have been so blind, Dad? I thought Alex and I were different," I said, feeling the weight of my naivety. He walked over and put an arm around my shoulders. "You wanted to see the best in him, in them. There's no fault in that. But people show their true colors in tough times. It's a hard lesson, but an important one." I nodded, letting the reality of Dad's words sink in. "But what do I do now?" I asked. I can't go back there. You'll stay here for now, he said, his confidence a steadying force for my frayed nerves. As for the rest, we'll figure it out together. Then he dropped a bombshell that took me by surprise. You know, the company situation isn't as dire as it seems. We're actually on the verge of a breakthrough. It was all a strategic move to weed out the opportunists. I stared at him, stunned. So you mean to say we're not broke? He chuckled, a sound that was part relief, part amusement. Far from it. But it was crucial to see who would stick around when times got tough. Unfortunately, Alex and his family revealed their true colors. The revelation was overwhelming. My anger toward Alex and his parents was now tinged with a sense of vindication. They had shown their true motives, freeing me from a future of manipulation and deceit. Dad, I don't know whether to be relieved or furious, I admitted, my emotions in turmoil. Both is okay, he said, grounding me. But remember, this experience has taught you something invaluable about people and their intentions. Use it. Learn from it. The next day, walking up to Judy and Martin's house felt like heading into the lion's den. I was braced for a confrontation, but nothing could have prepared me for the cold reception I received. Alex was there, divorce papers in hand, with a look of triumphant disdain. Here you go. Let's get this over with, he said, practically shoving the papers at me. His parents loomed behind him, barely containing their glee at finally ridiculing the freeloader. Judy snickered while Martin nodded in agreement, a smug smile plastered on his face. Alex joined in. Turns out you're just an ordinary dummy without your daddy's money. Thought you'd cry, but guess what? We don't need a tearful mess around here. Their words stung, but not in the way they had hoped. I felt a bizarre mix of anger and liberation. I looked at the papers, then at them, and without a word, signed where needed. Their smiles widened, thinking they had won, but I had the last laugh. I pulled out a newspaper from my bag and slapped it down on a table with more force than necessary. Thought you might find this interesting, I said, my voice dripping with unrestrained satisfaction. The headline screamed about my dad's company making a monumental comeback, profits soaring higher than ever. Watching their faces drain of color was a sight I'd pay to see again. Judy and Martin's smugness vanished, replaced by shock and then desperation. Alex's arrogance crumbled, leaving him looking like a child who'd just lost his favorite toy. Judy suddenly switched gears, stepping toward me with arms wide open. Oh, my sweet girl, it's all a big misunderstanding. Let's hug it out. Martin, ever the opportunist, chimed in. Let's not rush things. Sit down, have a coffee, and we can talk this through. And Alex. Oh, Alex. Was the picture of regret. I was wrong, I said, a hint of incredulity in my voice. Okay, we can fix this. I want to make everything right. Please. Their sudden change of heart was almost comical. Almost. I couldn't help but laugh, a deep, hearty sound that felt surprisingly cleansing. You three are something else, you know that. But here's a news flash for you. I'm done. I'm done with the lies, the manipulation, and the so-called family that only values me for my bank account. I turned to leave, their protests and pleas fading into the background. They called after me, desperation and disbelief lacing their voices, but I didn't look back, not this time. After the spectacle at Judy and Martin's house, I was finished, not just with them but with the whole sorry saga that had become my life. I needed a fresh start, a clean slate. I took some time to regroup at my parents' place, focusing on getting my head and heart back in the game. One afternoon, a couple of weeks after the divorce was finalized, I was out for coffee with Sarah, my ever-supportive friend who had been there through it all. Girl, you look like a weight's been lifted, she commented, sipping her latte. I laughed, feeling lighter than I had in months. You have no idea. It's like I can finally breathe again. Sarah leaned in, her expression turning serious. So what's next for you, Jess? You've got a clean slate now. I stirred my coffee absent-mindedly, contemplating. I'm not sure, but I'm excited to find out. Maybe I'll travel, pick up some of the charity work I had to put on hold. As for love, I paused, giving her a rueful smile. I think I'll give that a miss for a while. Just make sure you're doing what makes you happy, okay? You deserve it after all that drama, Sarah said, reaching over to squeeze my hand. Thanks, Sarah. That's the plan. Not long after that conversation, my phone started buzzing with calls and messages from Alex. He was pleading, saying he'd changed and that we could start over. His parents even joined in, sending messages filled with apologies and invitations to talk things over. Sitting in my room, phone in hand, I couldn't help but laugh at their sheer audacity. It was almost admirable. Almost. I typed out a response I'd been mulling over for days. Moving on means moving forward, not going back to what broke you. I wish you all the best, but this is where our path ends for good. Take care. Hitting send felt like closing the final chapter of a book I'd been stuck in for too long. Just like that, I was ready to start writing a new one. The next few months were a blur of activity. I threw myself into my work, took up volunteering with a vengeance, and even booked a solo trip to a place I'd always wanted to visit. Life was full, and for the first time in a long while, it was fulfilling too. One evening, sitting on a balcony overlooking a bustling street in a far-off city, I realized I'd found what I'd been searching for all along: peace. The drama, the heartache, and the betrayal seemed like distant memories. My phone buzzed with a new message from a number I didn't recognize. Hesitantly, I opened it. It was from someone I'd met during my travels, someone who made me laugh and think in equal measure. "Hey Jessica, how about dinner when you're back? No expectations, just food and good company." I stared at the message, a smile slowly spreading across my face. Maybe it was time to open my heart again, but on my terms and at my pace. "Yes, I'd like that," I typed back, hitting send before I could second-guess myself. Looking out at the city lights, I felt a sense of excitement for the future. I had moved on, not just from Alex and his family, but from the person I was when I was with them. I was stronger, wiser, and ready for whatever came next.
I'm a 28-year-old office worker. I got married to Daniel, who's the same age as me, last month. We've been discussing working together as a couple until we eventually have kids. Since we both have jobs, we agreed to share the housework. But once we got into it, I was disappointed. He had no intention of helping out. "Welcome home." I just got home too, so I'll heat something up. For dinner at my friend's place, we usually just heat up leftovers or pre-cooked meals. In the beginning, I would always make sure Daniel has something fresh, but I started preparing things in advance.
Honestly, I wish I could have a fresh meal every now and then.
And lately, he's been complaining about dinner, and it's starting to bother me. I'm starting to cook now, but it's going to take a while. Daniel's supposed to clean the bathroom.
Ugh, it's such a trouble.
Sure, he cleans it, but he always complains during dinner. I'm the one cooking and washing the dishes too. Both of us work late hours, so we're never home early. If I had more time, I'd like to make everything fresh. But Daniel complains so much, I end up forcing myself to cook from scratch some days. His demands have gotten worse, and now he says I want freshly made meals. If you want fresh food that badly, why don't you make it yourself?
Sorry.
I just visited my brother, who's living nearby, but I think he misunderstood and thought I was mad at him. I was actually talking about Daniel.
There was this one time you got mad at me for eating what I thought was my pudding. You didn't talk to me for a whole month. It was stupid.
At that time, the pudding I was looking forward to wasn't in the fridge, and I was both furious and disappointed. Honestly, thinking about it now still makes me mad.
Please stop.
Just kidding.
But really, why are you holding back so much?
Now that we're married, we have to tolerate each other's manners. I guess you learn a lot about someone when you live together.
Hey, you're an adult. Why are you so angry?
Yeah, Daniel doesn't help much and keeps complaining while I'm the one managing everything on top of work. It'd be nice if he were a bit more considerate. What is wrong with made-up food? This is the time you praise someone's efficiency. I'd love to come home to fresh, warm food every day too, but who's going to make it? It's not like Daniel's going to. He doesn't even clean up after himself.
I think he relies too much on Emma, but you're not his mother. This is supposed to be a partnership.
If things stay like this, I'm worried about what will happen when we have kids.
Well, I know I'm just listening to your story, but if there's anything I can do, just let me know.
Thanks, big brother. I feel a bit better after talking to him, but yeah, I'm still feeling down. A few days after talking to my brother, I came home even later than usual. As I was heating up some pre-made food and getting dinner ready, Daniel let out a big sigh.
Oh, you're taking shortcuts again.
Even if it's pre-cooked, that doesn't mean I'm cutting corners. Everything on the table is homemade.
Heating it up before serving is no different than what you'd find at the grocery store deli.
What?
I hate it when the food's reheated. I only want fresh meals.
Wow, that's terrible. I put a lot of effort into this. Even making side dishes takes time.
I don't care. I want fresh food and that's that.
I was furious. I couldn't help but think, why did I marry someone who's so unkind? I'm starting to feel like this might have been a mistake. I can't deal with someone like this anymore. I get it. I'll stop trying to reheat it.
You finally got my feelings across.
I got it right. I'll provide you with a stand just like you wanted. Daniel immediately felt better. Daniel ate the reheated food and went to sleep, snoring without cleaning up as usual. The next day I served Daniel only freshly cooked food as he had requested.
Home now.
I went to the kitchen to serve you the freshly prepared food that you want. I brought you some freshly prepared food in a few minutes.
Isn't it all?
Yes, I just cut some lettuce and tomato and put dressings on top. You're the one who said freshly made is best, so it's hard to come home and make it. But with this, I think you got all you need. You can make a wish. It's healthy, and it's not just 2 stones with 1 stone. It's on the top of a mountain.
How can I be full?
But you're the one who said freshly made is better.
I don't have any.
You're so selfish. In that case, I'll make you another dish. I go back to the kitchen, take the eggs out of the refrigerator, put some rice in a bowl, and take it to Daniel. Let's make some egg-cooked rice and enjoy it.
How can dinner be egg-cooked rice? That's not possible.
Ah, that's right. The rice isn't freshly cooked. Oh, then the rice will be taken away. The eggs must be freshly laid, right? Yes, they're taken away, and tofu can be made. It wasn't possible because it wasn't freshly cooked. I'm collecting for this as well. The cold chicken and egg-cooked rice that you recruited was delicious. I eat this every day, and it's a nutritional problem, but it's still a great dish.
What can I eat?
That's right. It's hard for people who can only eat freshly made food.
What are you talking about? You promised to serve it freshly.
There's nothing I can do about it. It's going to take time.
But okay, I'm going to take a bath, so go ahead and make some.
While Daniel was taking a bath, I went to the kitchen for a while, and then I heard Daniel's hissing voice in the living room.
Oh, my brother. Good evening, Daniel.
While he was taking a bath, he was a little surprised when he saw my older brother come in.
Emma, this hamburger is good.
I'm glad you were happy.
Oh, can I have mine too?
This is warmed up beforehand, so I'm going to give it to another thing. It doesn't suit your taste. I'm making something else right now, so please look forward to it.
Oh, that's fine.
I have some stews that I've already made, though I had to reheat them to eat. Will you eat?
Pre-made simmered food, on the other hand, is so delicious that it soaks up the flavor.
My brother happily eats the reheated pre-made food.
Where's my food?
Don't rush. A few minutes later, my brother puffs out his stomach and enjoys the full moon. Next to me, Daniel's stomach is growling.
Emma, where's my food?
My rice is being simmered slowly, so please wait for another 2 hours.
What on earth have you been making for 2 hours?
It's curry, but I have to slowly stir-fry the onions.
It's hard for me to eat something like this. Please let me have a hamburger too. A freshly made hamburger.
You said you don't mind it if it takes a while.
But I can't wait 2 hours. Now that I'm hungry, can you cook something quickly like hamburger?
Cooking hamburger quickly, huh? I had no choice but to make a hamburger. So I started making hamburgers, but 30 minutes later...
When will it be ready? Why are you not doing anything? Where's my food?
I'm currently soaking the rice in water so that I can serve it freshly cooked. It looks like it's about to put it in the rice cooker.
Oh, are you going to cook the rice now?
Freshly cooked is best, right?
I don't need rice. Please make me a hamburger.
I can't help it. Daniel left the kitchen and came back 20 minutes later.
It's about time for my hamburger.
Now I'm cooling down onions, which are fried slowly.
I'm looking forward to seeing this cooked in an authentic way.
It will only take about an hour, so by then my brother might have a strain in his stomach.
Will it take an hour? You're just kidding. I can't wait that long. I wonder if you can wait for freshly made food. There's a limit for waiting. I'm tired from work, and yet it's terrible that I was left without the food until midnight. Isn't it too much? Emma is also tired from work, and Daniel is just waiting for Emma and complaining without helping. After coming home and Emma was standing in the kitchen the whole time. On the other hand, don't you realize that you're doing something terrible? That's because any kind of cooking takes a lot of time and effort. I'm grateful just to have it made by hand, but it's selfish of you to say that I don't like it unless it's freshly made. There's no one to cook for me, no one to eat my homemade food, and no one to sit around the table with.
I think that's another problem.
Emma, I am sorry that I have been so selfish. My mother was a full-time housewife. As a housewife, she always served me freshly cooked food. So I was reluctant to reheat it, but when I heard the sounds of cooking in the kitchen, I felt like I had started a family and I wanted it because it made me feel calm. From now on, except on weekends or when Emma gets home early, I'll just have to remake or reheat. I don't like deli dishes, but if it is pre-made dishes, I can handle it. That's fine, right, Emma?
Well, Daniel, I can't bear to go along with your selfishness. When you hear the sound of cooking in the living room, you feel at ease? Huh. We both work, so when you have time to listen to the sound of cooking, you clean and do laundry and then I'm ready. Even if you don't put up with it, I have zero intention of making anything for you in the future.
So there's no point in getting married if that's the case?
So we'll have no choice but to get divorced.
Even if you stay at home until I find a new place, it's okay. I have some extra rooms.
Yes, I will.
Wait, I'll help you with the housework.
You think I'm your mom. You'd be happier if you got divorced and went back to your real mom.
No, I don't like divorce.
I didn't feel like listening to Daniel's wishes any further, so I packed up my things with my brother and left. After that, we had a discussion with both of our parents, and my parents-in-law bowed their heads and asked Daniel for a divorce. After the divorce, Daniel was not allowed to return to his parents' home and started living alone, but since he could not clean or do laundry, his room looks messy. He couldn't cook and had to rely on the side dishes that he hated so much. I temporarily took shelter at my brother's house, but I finally found a place to live, so I'm leaving.
You could have stayed forever.
If I stay, your girlfriend won't be able to come to your house.
Did you know that I had a girlfriend?
Yeah, I do. Now you can sit around the table.
Hey, I'm taking special training in cooking right now. I want her to eat homemade food. Of course, I want to eat her home-cooked food.
The environment where we can both cook for each other is ideal.
I want you to enjoy my home-cooked meals when you move to the new place.
He gave me a lot of tappers with food. Thank you, brother. Let's reheat it and enjoy it. Thank you for watching. What kind of strange Emma will appear next? Please enjoy. Wait, where is mine? Huh, you can ignore it if you want. If you ignore me, I'll just head home on my own.
So, hello, you finally made it out. Where are you?
I am at my home.
Come back now. I can't do this without you.
What's up? I'm Alice, 33 years old. Today I'm having a barbecue at the campsite with my husband, Mike, and his friends.
But Karen really hasn't changed since the old days. Yeah, that's about it. But Karen does have her good points.
He got a job at a factory run by a local senior and still hangs out with her school friends often. Today, Mike wanted to have a barbecue, so I decided to give it a try. To my surprise, my friend was here with us. I had only hung out with this group once before, and at that time, I decided I wouldn't join any events with them outside of this one. Mike, shall we roast this meat?
As a wife, you'd be upset if your husband was talking to other women, right?
Then here's John, who's really working hard on his band, but still struggles with not being successful. He usually works part-time at a convenience store for the living.
And those two dated back in high school.
What?
You didn't know that?
Yeah.
It looks like you said something you shouldn't have again.
He's Paul, and he's jobless, and it makes sense why he's unemployed if there's a reason, but he just doesn't seem to want to work. He occasionally does day labor to make some money, but other than that, he seems to be involved with various women, or maybe not.
I was just telling you the truth. Sorry, Alice. You're not the type who likes to say things like that.
Well, I don't really want to listen to it.
Oh, okay. Please forget it.
All of Mike's friends aren't very sensitive and are too bold. Alice, are you grilling meat? I grilled some meat and asked if he could use this meat, but he didn't reply. Mike, would it be fine if I grilled this meat first?
Oh, that's fine.
Oh, I got a reply. Yes, yes. Karen's family is wealthy, so she's the daughter of a company president and currently works as an executive, so she has a lot of money left over.
Well, they look nice. Please give them all.
Wait, where is mine? If you ignore me, I'll go home on my own.
That was a disaster.
It was really impossible.
Well, I think it was a wise decision.
She's the director of the Doctoral Robotics Research Institute and my friend. The person next to my friend is the robot Lucky, developed by the doctor.
I understand that you don't want to go home. Please stay today feeling at home.
Wow, there are a lot of missed calls from Mike. I didn't notice while we were talking.
There must have been some sort of trouble. It sounded interesting, so how about calling back?
Hello?
Where are you?
I went back to my house.
But why did you leave without permission?
Well, it's because you ignored me and I didn't have any food.
You can keep your meat by yourself. Also, are you a kid to go home because of being ignored?
You have a problem that you just talk to your old friends and leave your wife alone.
I don't think you're capable of acting like an adult, but anyway, come back right now. I need you.
What do you mean?
Because I don't have a big car. What about the rest of us? You can't think of anything than you, right? You went home in our car, so how are we going to get home?
You have a small car. Actually, this time I loaded up all the camping equipment on our van, and his 3 friends came with Karen. We met up at the site in the light car that Karen was driving.
In other words, if I got in the car too, there wouldn't be any space to put my luggage in, so you'll have to think for yourself how you're going to leave the campsite. Besides, today is a day trip. We don't even have a sleeping bag. We don't have any money, and we're all suffering because of you.
Oh, it's real camp. It's like camping, isn't it? What about picking nuts in the mountains and fishing in the river?
There's no way I can do that, right? Besides, this campground is a paid one, so if you want to stay there, you'll get an extra bed.
Come to think of it, the campground there is famous as a mecca for anime, so the lodging fees were high on Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays. Especially since I'm not going to help you anyway, it seems like you're going through a lot of trouble trying to figure it out on your own.
It seems that they have a lot of troubles.
They can encounter that.
It would be awful to realize that Alice isn't here right now.
Right?
Now that I think about it, it seems like it's going to rain heavily today.
So it's going to be a lot of work. It's a good idea to let the rain cool your head. The next day, Mike and Karen came home to pick up our van. I went back to the campsite and loaded up my things.
I'm home. You should apologize to everyone. You must be embarrassed as a wife for putting us through so much trouble.
I'm sorry, Alice. Me and Mike are good friends. No, you don't have to hide it. You're lonely and you've become like a rabbit. You're a cute little brickos. You just wanted to get Mike's attention. I understand that girl's heart.
You are lucky that Karen is so nice.
So why is Karen at home?
She came over to hang out.
Mike and I are going to watch a movie together.
No
Problem, I'm going out. It's too bad. Mike and I haven't watched a movie together at home since high school. Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure it was after the movie.
It was our first time together.
Even if it was a long time ago, there were too much in front of me. I get annoyed when I talk about it. But I left home aimlessly and came to the doctor's house.
That's bad. Haven't you known about him before you got married?
I knew that he had a strong local relationship, but I had no idea it was this strong. I never met any of my friends until I got married. It's been a year since we got married, but lately a lot of things have been coming to light.
Oh, I see. What's wrong with Dr. Peter? This is just a hunch from a genius doctor, but I don't think Mike and Karen are suspicious. When you say suspicious, it means they're having an affair? Or rather, I feel like we're close to being lovers.
Or rather, when I think back on it, I guess that's the case. At camp, Karen was always very attached to Mike, and today too, she knew I was going to say no. But it was like she was inviting me out. Even if I had said okay, Mike would have said no.
How about going home? Something so risky? They're probably thinking that Alice won't be coming back for a few hours, so take advantage of that opportunity and attack.
It might be possible, but when they hear the door open, I wonder if he'll leave right away. Or maybe he's actually watching a movie.
And the genius doctor is thinking ahead too.
Yeah, I'm home now.
Welcome home.
You came home early. It's kind of suspicious. I stopped to pick up something. I wasn't watching a movie.
I was thinking of watching it, but I just didn't feel like it.
So we just talked normally. Yeah.
So what did you come to get?
I'm staying at the doctor's house today, so I came home to pick up clothes.
Please take your time.
Thank you. You must be hiding something. I'm back now.
All that's left to do now is wait for the time. So today, let's forget about the two of us and enjoy.
That's right. The next day.
Look at this.
Well then, let us have a party in my house. A few days later. Thank you for coming today. It's unusual for Alice to have a party.
It's an apology for the camping trip the other day. Well, today, we're going to have all you can eat for free. I'm lucky to have eaten so much. I'll eat a lot so that I don't need supper. Oh, please, don't take my food. Doctor, don't be greedy.
I see. I'm sure you're apologizing for the other day, but I'm sure you just want to be pampered. If you're hosting a party and making your home, everyone will be paying attention to you, and if you bring your friends along, you won't feel alone. Well, your friends are not understandable like a woman with the milk glasses and a robot. But excuse me, please don't say anything bad about my friend. I've already stated the facts. Well then, I guess I'll tell you the facts too. You and Mike are having an affair, aren't you? Oh, why are you saying this all of a sudden?
There's no reason for people to say things like that just because we're good friends. Oh yeah, and if that's just because we're good friends, then what about Paul and I? Maybe he's dating Karen, maybe he's dating someone. I'm not interested in cohabitation. Neither am I. But just for example, wouldn't it be strange to suspect only Karen and Mike? That's true.
It's really too bad, Alice.
Which one is worse? Your friends agree on each other. It seems like there is, but there is no point in talking about it. We have a deep bond. If a friend was in trouble, we'd definitely help him.
We have a deep bond.
Isn't today an apology party? Don't be rude to my friend. There's no proof. You always make decisions based on your own emotions, but after all you need is evidence.
Please, Doctor.
Please pay attention to this wall. Please project the video, Lucky.
Okay.
What is this?
Mary won't show it to me, but your irregular actions have been recorded perfectly. This hidden camera was used the other day.
And the genius doctor is thinking about that as well. I'd like you to stay at my house, then I'll go get a change of clothes. I'd like you to do something at the right time. I'd like you to attach a small camera to your bedroom. If you're lucky, you'll be able to find some evidence. It's not the invention of a genius doctor. I don't think it has anything to do with it.
Let me go. That's why I was lucky enough to be able to catch the scene of the affair between the two of them. I mean, the hidden camera is so disgusting.
It's a privacy issue. It's a violation.
What's wrong with installing a camera in my home? It's what your actions are bad. Since when did you do this?
From the other day. You are suspicious. Do you know what will happen if you covered them, John and Paul? No, we really didn't know anything. If it turns out you're lying, you'll be accused of being an accomplice. You might even have to pay compensation.
It seems harsh to demand compensation from a third party, but it's a good stimulus for these two.
Is compensation money?
Yes, you'll have to pay me.
It was 5 years ago. These guys are making affairs from 5 years ago. Mike and I have been in a physical relationship for 5 years. Why did you betray me?
I wonder where your deep bond went. Even so, it was 5 years before we started dating, so why did you marry me?
That's why Karen and I broke up once in high school. They say that getting back together doesn't last, but neither Karen nor I had a girlfriend for a while. So I continued our relationship without reconciling with Karen.
Okay, so you've removed the fact that everyone has been involved since 5 years ago.
I have nothing to do with it, and neither do I.
I was the one who helped you guys when you were in financial trouble.
I've always been concerned about that kind of overbearing attitude. You gave me money, so I tolerated it. Mike is the same thing anyway. What are you saying now? For him, she was just looking for money and a physical relationship for Karen, and for Alice, he was just dating him as a housekeeper.
Housekeeper?
Since Karen couldn't do anything, he filled the gap with Alice. No, I really love Alice, who is different from Karen.
So it won't work out now, but anyway, let him demand compensation. I'll give it to you, so be prepared. I'll ask my dad to give it to you. Of course, I won't pay your compensation, and I won't support you at all in the future.
So it's called friendship, right?
Really. So from John and Paul, it must have been a little tough for him to receive compensation. But they seem to be in trouble now that they no longer have support from Karen. John has to work more part-time jobs to make a living. So it seems like he won't be able to perform in a band. It looks like all the women who were there have rejected Paul, and he feels like he's lost all friendships and relationships with women.
It's their own fault.
I received compensation from Karen, but it seems like his dad has released her from the place. It seems like he was let down. Even though he started looking for a job, he never worked.
So at 33 years old, and with no work experience, it seems like there's no place that would hire her. What happened to Mike? You got divorced, right?
I got divorced and I received alimony from his savings, but I think things are going to be tough from now on. Actually, he introduced his senior colleague from his hometown.
Good morning. Good morning. You can go home now. What do you mean, senior? At the company I told you to call me president. Well, I'm no longer your president. I still don't understand what you mean. I heard you got divorced. Where did you hear I was divorced? I heard from Alice, and she also said that you had an affair with Karen. You even got John and Paul on your side to her Alice. That's just Alice exaggerating a bit. Even so, adultery is a fact. Yes, I hate dishonest people. People who can't love their life partner are bound to have a negative impact on their work. The products at my factory may be plain, but the craftsmanship is straightforward. It's important to face each other. I think of work and love as separate. You can't do your job without the support of your wife and family. They prepare a delicious breakfast every day and help you with the work. Your private life is all tied up in your work. Anyway, I hate you. But the company shouldn't be able to fire me for that reason. You've forgotten all the mistakes you made. There were a lot of issues like delivery errors and machine damage, but the mistakes happened because we faced them directly. The company was really upset, but we forgave them. It was a mistake, but we're going to ask them to take responsibility for these things. You're the boss. That's too much. Then your presence will lower the level of productivity at this workplace. How about this? This is an unbelievable statement that actually makes me, the president, feel bad. Besides, all the employees here are straightforward. Those expert guys are sure to hate you, so go home.
Well, since it's about your seniors, they'll probably hate you for taking a dishonest path.
Also, seems like there is a strong local bond, so they are going to hire Mike in this area.
It might be difficult to find it. It looks like it's going to be difficult.
Everyone is at their own level. Well, that's it for today, and I'll see you again in the next video.